I think art is to be seen. So we are just willing to share and always have been. And I'm just very delighted that it has a purpose.
The Saginaw Art Museum is currently hosting the exhibition Wonderfully Made, the Anthony and Davita Artist Collection of African American Fine Art. On the podcast here, we are listening to artists and other professionals from the arts community connected to this exhibition. Today we are talking with Kerry Davis about the Kerry and C. Davis collection of African American art. Davis, a native of Atlanta, Georgia, is a former sergeant of the United States Air Force, a retired carrier with the United States Postal Service, and an ordained deacon. He began collecting in the mid-1980s in partnership with his wife, Betty, who shared his passion for art. In our conversation today, we explore how Davis began collecting and his hopes for the future of his collection. Kerry, how are you today?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you. How are you?
I am doing excellent. Hey, I really appreciate this opportunity, and I wanted to jump right in and learn a little bit more about yourself and your collection. And maybe we can start just by having you tell me a little bit how you decided to start collecting art. Was this something that you had been thinking about for a long time, or something that just was more opportunistic?
No, it was nothing I was thinking about for a long time, nothing premeditated, nor really, nothing in my background, even growing up. We didn't have art in the household, just a few pictures. But actually, where the whole idea, I guess, came from, I had, after I left the United States Air Force, got my job at the post office, and at age 21, 22, I bought my first house, little small house. And it was more of a decorative type thing. I wanted to put something on the wall that would, in my mind, I thought it would be something masculine, but not just a picture, so to speak, but something that might reflect my heritage, ethnicity, or something like that. So that was the first thought I had about art.
So it just sort of blossomed from there.
Yeah, it went. That was the first time I kind of engaged in buying a piece of art. I would say it blossomed from there, but there were just moments where I never considered it much further. But I had a cousin up in New York who collected art, and he was pretty knowledgeable about it all. And so just rather than just buying something, I started to kind of read, look through the media, look through catalogs or whatever, and just started to look at art more and more. So I did more looking than buying anything. In fact, I wouldn't even call what I started doing collecting art. I was probably just buying art. Collecting, there's more of a focus on what you're doing, rather than just casting a broad net and just grabbing things.
When would you say that you went or transitioned from that space of just buying things to actually developing a collection?
Probably more toward the late 80s. The late 80s. I had more of a knowledge base of what I wanted to have, the things that, some of the works that I wanted to have. And a good asset or resource I had was here at Clark Atlanta University. They have a collection, probably stems from the 1940s, that's just filled with cultural gems. I had the opportunity to often go up there and visit, and they had their Negro art annuals from, I think it was 1947 to 1971. And of course, my collection is of African American art. And of course, African Americans had very, very limited on where they could display or do exhibitions. But the Negro Art Annuals was a place where they could come and show their wares, and that's from all over the country. So I had opportunity to view work by, at the time, was under-recognized artists. And now, as the market has had more exposure, a lot of those artists have, really come to the forefront. So that was part of my education. And as I meet different people, from the schools and then in the community who had those works, or who may even had a relationship with those artists, they were able to share them and their knowledge with me. And so, I got excited about when I could find some of those works, which was kind of hard, but when I find some of those works, if I could acquire them, I'll add it to my collecting.
It sounds as though, part of what you've done with your collection and through the process of collecting is really build something of a community or relationships. Can you describe that a little bit more and tell me how that relationship building has maybe influenced the decisions that you've made to bring things into your collection or sell items from your collection?
As I was out, about and making connections, I come to think of Mr. McGee, Reginald McGee, who was very instrumental with helping the artist James Vanderzee. He moved, I think McGee moved to Atlanta probably in the late 70s, but he was a part of that New York scene, very instrumental in the Harlem on My Mind scene of 1968. But he had relationship and with Jacob Lawrence, where they had done exhibitions, and Romare Beard and just other different artists. And just speaking to him, he had relationship with those artists. And I started to look at their work, and early on, that's about the only people I could know that was in the forefront or in the media was Jacob Lawrence and Romare Beard. So from there, but there were so many other of their peers. And that was, just over years, just developed a network with, different people. And as I started to go out to different venues that might have been exhibiting art, one collector may introduce me to another collector, and then there's some exposure there. But not only that, artists would introduce me to other artists. And, it just became just a fellowship of friends. And, it's pretty exciting to me. And that's kind of start, where my base come from in collecting, or who I started collecting.
Yeah, it sounds like a really incredibly beautiful thing to be able to see that sort of network and relationships be built, and it sounds as though you're building friendships as much as you're building a collection.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
that's really encouraging.
Absolutely. In fact, if you come here or wherever you may see this, we have a part of the collection that's on tour being exhibited by International Arts and Artists. It's a 4-year run, so it's going across the country. But anyway, if you see that exhibition or come to this house and you just look on the walls, you'll see a lot. Well, I say a lot more, but you see more than just beautiful images. I refer to it as you see. When I look at it, I just see different relationships that I've had over the years.
It's neat how, your ability to support artists and collect in this way continues sort of that story. Transitioning a little bit, can you describe maybe some of the challenges associated with having the collection or preserving your collection? Are there some things that make that a challenge for you?
Yeah, I I guess I've been up against challenges all my life. I always try to attack it from one way or another. One is, I guess, just conservation. It's expensive. There's an expense. But the good thing for me is that I used to frame art for about 17 years. So, once I knew the importance of, UV protection, this conservation glass, 100% acid-free this. And of course, I was connected with the suppliers and those type things. I stopped framing only for myself, but I could still get the suppliers at that was reasonable price from to do it. I'm a do-it-yourselfer type. So that was challenge that I was able to overcome. Not over the years, it hadn't been that big of a challenge. Nothing that I couldn't overcome.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you have a spirit of can do, and you have been able to do it.
Oh yeah.
I understand that you were a former postal worker, and
Yes,
your wife, she was in broadcast television. So, I imagine you had a bit of a modest lifestyle when you started collecting. Can you describe sort of, for those who may be on the fence about starting a collection, maybe some words of encouragement or share a little bit of that part of your story?
Well, that's kind of from my point of view. If you're starting a collection, I think it's important to look at works and read some, and definitely engage the artists who create the works. I found it to be very advantageous. I mean, I may look at a work by a particular artist and I like it, but oftentimes they can articulate why I like it or what I'm looking at, So some things, you may be looking at and just don't get it. It doesn't click, but they can be, very instrumental in helping you understand what you're viewing. Also, don't be afraid. Art is so subjective. To don't be careful. You need to study because you don't want anybody to tell you what's good or tell you what's bad. You know what resonates with you, and your opinion is just as valid as the next person. But you know what's good for you. So don't be afraid. And in order to collect, you have to buy. So I would just get as much information on the works that you're looking at as possible, and and just you can start there. And remember, it's collecting. That's just something you do over a period of time, and then I think you'll notice it's almost like writing in a diary. As you look back, you'll see your journey. You'll see the type of work that you liked when you first started, and see if it evolves. Some people like figurative work, and then you may get down the road and it may turn totally abstract. So it's just interesting to see yourself in the collection.
I think that picture of having a diary and being able to track some of your own history through the acquisition of the pieces that you've had is really an interesting picture. Looking towards the future a little bit, you had mentioned that your exhibition is, or your collection is on tour right now, and you also have pieces in your home. What is your hope for the future of your collection? What purpose do you feel like it can serve into the future?
One, and I'm starting to realize that now, we're very grateful for, as the collection travels, it's going to venues or it's in museums in certain parts of the country that community hadn't been able to engage or felt left out or underrepresented. What I appreciate and what I have seen, that when this exhibition moved to certain communities, people come out, people of color come out. But not only that, in those communities are very fine artists. And there's a meeting between the artist and the community and the museum that the museums didn't even know was there. For what reason? I don't know if they didn't know how to read or for what, but there was a disc. But in each venue so far, there were artists in those communities that go to the museum. And now that the museum has recognized, they have gems in the artists in their community. It's brought more diversity and more engagement. So that was something that was we've been just very proud of, to be instrumental in.
I certainly appreciate that perspective. Having Anthony and Davita's collection here at our own museum, seeing the way that it is able to resonate throughout our community in a way that other exhibitions haven't. And so I can certainly see how that might be the case with your own collection.
Yeah.
Well, Kerry, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I look forward to continuing to stay in touch with you, and wish you all the best with your collection.
Well, thank you very much. Started out as just a few pieces here or there, but I never thought it or even considered it would take us to this point. But I think art is to be seen. So we are just willing to share and always have been. And I'm just very delighted that it has a purpose.
The Wonderfully Made exhibition is presented by Hemlock Semiconductor with additional support from Morley Companies, Wirt Rivette Group, Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs, Michigan Humanities Council, and the National Endowment for the Humanities. We look forward to having you see the exhibition for yourself during your next visit. As always, we invite you to subscribe to this podcast and consider making a contribution so that we can carry out our mission of providing art for all.